I'm a motherfucking beast, girl. In this jungle out here, beware. When you see me in these motherfucking streets, girl. Like I don't even care, be clear. I'ma tell you exactly what you wanna hear sometimes. I'ma mean that shit sometimes. I won't mean that shit, I'm trying to find a way to beat that shit. Tell you exactly what you wanna hear, and I'ma have fun with it. Give me your heart and I'll run with it. Give it back in pieces when I'm done with it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Relationship DNA. I am your co-host, Anthony Smalls, and we're sitting here with my other co-host. Say your name, gangster.
Dominique Renee, what's going on, y'all? How y'all feeling?
Doing good. So as y'all know, this is the first attempt, the first episode that we're going to try to put down for y'all. And the topic for this show is, what should we teach each other about men and women in relationships? You know, we're growing up in a society where everybody is about their money, about their coins, but nobody's thinking about how did that translates into their relationships. How do they tend to sacrifice or even settle for the right situation? Because everybody feels like, you know, they're up and coming or they got so much going on. So it's hard to, you know, give up a little control and let somebody else come in and help out. So before we get into that, we got this first session that we call Morning Affirmation.
Good morning.
It's the opening of how do you feel about today? Some words of encouragement. So I will toss it to my co-host. Got any good words for the people?
I do. I was thinking about what I should express or talk about, and there was one book that really changed my life. When I was going through a lot of hardship and transition in my life, a friend met up with me. Her name is Crystal, and she gave me this book. It's called The Path Made Clear. It's all busted up because this book did come rain, sleet, or snow. This book was with me and really was a guide to like really help me. Basically, it was all the interviews that Oprah Winfrey did with all like people in her life, and they kind of like gave their tips and success stories, even their triumphs and their tribulations in here. And this book like really saved my life. Like when I opened it, I just looked at people's adversity or their positivity and things like that. So one thing I feel like we do have is a lot of clutter. So there's a piece in this book by Bishop T.D. Jakes where he states, if we can get the clutter out of our mind, we can get the guilt out of our mind. If we can get the shame out of our mind, we can get the worry out of our mind. If we get the busyness out of our mind, then all of a sudden we're going to have ideas, which are seeds. And the seeds of a good idea planted firmly in your mind. When you believe in yourself, you believe in your potential. And it's weird because this was not even in the front page. This was I opened the book and this was the first thing I read, and I was like, you know what, I got to get all the negativity out of my head. I have to get all the doubt, all the trauma, all the different things out of my life. And once I started doing that, and once I just kept reading and being positive, I was able to fluster out so much ideas and really just focus on the now and not the past. So I hope that gives a little aspiration to people and give them a little hope, because I feel like with everything going on in the world today, we have so much clutter. We have so much, trials and tribulations with, COVID and being quarantined in the house, not being able to share our space with our family and friends how we used to. So I feel like if we focus on the good times, we focus on, getting through this and just making the best that we can during this time, I think, we'll be good.
Mm-hmm. That's a good word for the morning for the folks of the flock. Oh, so let me see. How can I tie that in? I'll say my word would be whatever you focus on will magnetize. So if you focus on the negative, you have negative thoughts, negative outcomes, negative presets. If you focus on the positive, then you should have the reverse outcome. So be aware of what you're paying attention to, where you're putting your thoughts, where you're putting your energy. If it's always negative, you'll never have a positive outcome. All right.
That is true.
So with that being said, all right, y'all. So we're about to transition into the next segment of the show, which is Ask Him, Ask Her. So how Ask Him and Ask Her came up is I'm a part of a group called Playtime Worldwide. Been out for about 6-7 years. We do adult game nights every month, community service and get-togethers and stuff like that. So I host a segment called Ask Him on Mondays, and there's a segment called Ask Her on Wednesdays. If you got an opportunity, please join the Facebook group. It's Playtime Worldwide on Facebook, and you can be a part of that segment in those platforms as well. So right now we're gonna get into the first question. We'll throw it to Renee. What's your question that you got?
So my question that I have is, why do men ghost instead of communicating loss of interest?
Mm-hmm. So answer that for him.
I don't know. I just feel like you would feel as a man, you would want to be able to communicate your feelings. Like, okay, I'm not feeling you. I feel like women, we're more open with our feelings. Okay, that's who we are, just DNA and genetics.
Mm-hmm.
But you could be vibing with a guy and everything is cool, and a guy will just out of the blue like ghost you. Like, you'll ask a question, or you may see where this is going and stuff without even just saying, okay, I lost interest in you. They just ghost.
So is that all women are able to communicate and all men aren't able to communicate? Or
no, I can only based on my situations. Like, a lot of my girlfriends, they have situations where they're really liking this guy and the vibe is good, and all of a sudden they just ghost. They go, we don't know where they went. Like, it's like they died. It's like, it's crazy. And it's why men feel like they can't communicate. Well, or the men that we have dealt with in that situation feel they can't communicate. And it's like, okay, you could be open with that person sexually, you could be open with that person about anything else, but when it comes to their feelings and their emotions, when they don't want to answer that question, or they feel like they're being put up against the wall, or they feel like it's a moment of vulnerability, or they're uncomfortable, they ghost instead of saying, I've lost interest, or I don't want to answer that question right now, or that makes me feel uncomfortable, or this is not the right time to talk about that. Can we talk about this another time? Why just ghost the person? Like, that's just the ultimate disrespect in my eyes.
Mm-hmm. Let me ponder on that. I think it depends on the person's liking of the other person. I don't think we all ghost. I just think the least amount of like that you have for the person, the more likely that you don't care their feelings. Yeah. It's hard to spare feelings for somebody that you don't care about. And I don't know how to explain it on a guy's perspective. I can only bring it back to, you got to also be careful of who you decide to entertain. Are you? Do you know you're entertaining somebody with a spirit that will ghost you?
That part.
What about this person in the beginning didn't make them seem like a ghoster, or didn't make them seem like a bad communicator? And that's on both men and women's side. I think it's really important that you get into the essence of who you're dating through their energy, through their vibe, and you can sometimes sense a good communicator. And if you don't know a good communicator, guess what? Ask questions to see how they communicate.
Yeah.
You'll know if they're a ghost.
That's when it seems like they go ghost. Like, when you try to open up or try to, touch different topics that they don't want to speak on. Like, we're human. And if something's uncomfortable, you don't want to speak on it. I'm the type of person, I'm an open book, but there are things that I'm very uncomfortable speaking with people in the beginning when I first get to know them, because I know I'm an open book. So, you've learned that people need to know you in layers and times. Because if I sit down with somebody and I'm having a vibe, I'll tell you my whole life story, because I'm an open book. I'm not afraid to be vulnerable. I'm not afraid to share my experiences, my traumas, and the things I've been through. But some people, that's too much for them. That too much factor, or in time. But I just feel like at a certain age, and even times that we're in right now, who's to say we have time? So it's gets complicated. And I just feel like ghosting is so cool now. Like, okay, I got ghosts. No, next. Like, why should we accept it? Like, I mean, there's nothing you could do. The person's ghost. You can't go follow them. You can't stalk them and be FBI and like, why are you ghosting me? But the thing about it is, why is that a form of communication now? It's like verbal, non-verbal ghosting. Like, it's the third communication now.
So you know what? I got a question for you since you brought that up.
Mm-hmm.
The question I would have for anybody that's listening: why would you care if you're ghosted?
Mm.
If you didn't sacrifice enough, if you didn't give them the best of you, why do you care if they go ghost?
That is so true. So I was listening to a post, and it was this guy. It was very interesting, his perspective. He was like, if you handed somebody gold and they didn't take it, how would you feel? You would feel like that person is stupid, right? Because you're giving them something worth
Mhm,
money and they don't want it. And then he was like, that's how you got to look at yourself. Like,
mhm,
if I'm giving you a piece of me, which you are gold, and if somebody doesn't want it, like, then you need to laugh at them for being stupid. So
mhm,
when he put that analogy out like that, I was like, it makes sense. We don't cherish ourselves. We don't put worth on ourselves. We put all this energy into people who are not reflecting that energy back to us.
mhm,
And it boils down to knowing your worth. And it's like a lot of females, we feel sometimes that we give ourselves, and we get a little bit of attention, or we get a little bit of time, and we feel like that's enough, and we don't look at the signs. Like you said, we don't look at the behaviors. We don't look at when other questions or other things you have asked and they don't respond back, what kind of behavior you get, until the time you get permanently ghost. It may be like, okay, you ask a question and you won't get a response back until like 6 hours later, but now you're
mhm.
not getting a response back at all. So you should have known, if that person was texting you up a storm when it came to something sexual, and then when you're trying to talk about something real, or you're trying to talk about things that's going on in your life, and they're not showing that same urgency, then that should have been the sign right there that that's not the person for you. But we don't look at that.
Bring it back. So let's talk about the goal thing.
Yeah.
So first, I would ask, what is the importance of gold? What is gold? What value does gold have?
Well, gold is a material. It's prized as royalty. It's prized as showing you have status or worth, or it's a material. I guess it's a material. It's a value, like
Oh,
money.
okay, let me interject now.
Yeah.
What is gold to a person that doesn't value gold?
Nothing.
So why are you upset that somebody doesn't value your gold if they don't see you as gold? Wouldn't
That
the
part.
best thing be to give your gold self to a person that values gold?
Exactly.
I think a lot of times with social media and with people in this current climate, we want everybody to be fitting to the molds of who we think we are or who we
Mm-hmm.
believe we are. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes the world will show you that, yeah, you don't have the value that you think you have for me.
Mm.
So you have to go out and find a person that values you for you.
That
Because
values your gold.
you
Like, you
might
may
be
like,
gold, but
yep,
somebody might like platinum.
or
Somebody might
silver,
like silver.
like
So
copper.
yeah, you got to be aware of who you're giving your gold self to. You got to go to somebody that
Mm.
value gold, and in order to see if they value gold, it takes some time. But one thing that you also said was when you're having the sexting back and forth, you get fast responses, and then when you
Mm-hmm.
talk about something serious, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that a hint and a half for that ass that they don't value you? So why do you
For that
care?
ass.
Yeah, give them an opportunity to show
Yes.
who they really are and believe them the first time.
I believe him
So
the first time.
if
Yep.
everything is on and popping for sex and then everything is quiet for everything else, you got to say, okay, am I hurt more because I like this person more than I like me? Or am I hurt more because the thought that I have of this person that I like is not what I thought it should be?
And I love what you just said. You said, do I like this person more than I like me? And when sometimes you got to put a perspective like that. And when you're in the moment and you caught up in your feelings, you're not really even thinking about yourself. You're just
Mm,
thinking about that feeling that you have when you with that person. But as you said, I'm putting this person over me. I'm
mm,
not thinking about myself. Like, you really dumbing yourself down for somebody who doesn't like gold. They out here liking silver.
Mm-hmm. That's very important. You got to be aware of where you place your value, where's your value rank within society, and how do you react to somebody not seeing the value in you that you think you see in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you can't go into McDonald's and say, "Give me Pizza Hut." Sometimes you got to go into Pizza Hut and say, "No, I really like a pizza because you make the best pizza."
Exactly.
Sometimes. All right, y'all. So I will go to the question I had, and
Okay.
this is the question I got. It says, "Son, I'm sick of paying for dates. Why do women want you to go broke just to get at them?" I need an answer, son. So for that person or anybody like that person that's complaining about paying for dates or going on too many dates and not reaping anything from the investment,
I
you
feel.
don't. Oh,
Sorry.
don't
No,
cut
go
me
ahead.
off when it's asked him with my question.
I thought you was done. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was
My
gonna throw it
bad.
and then throw it back to you. I would
Mm-hmm.
say the person that goes on a date, it doesn't always have to be of monetary value. Sometimes it could just be the experience, and sometimes the experience doesn't cost a lot.
Yeah.
Sometimes the experience is just how creative you are. It can be very inexpensive, but be the flyest date she's ever experienced. But if you think that showing your worth and value of being invested in courting a woman is just how much you spend, then don't be mad that you spent on something that wasn't worth the investment.
Well, I think you just answered your own question.
Mhm. Well, it wasn't my question.
I mean, or bro question. I think you answered it for him. Um, or for me, you answered it for me. I feel like I don't know. I might get attacked for this, but I'm gonna say it. I feel like they're not doing the work. They're not really getting to know the female. If I mean, I like an expensive date. If you gonna take me to Philippe, I'ma go. But the thing about it is, if you took me to, I love Italian food. You take me to authentic Italian like spot in the Bronx. One of my favorite Italian spots is Frankie and Johnny's in the Bronx. If you take me there, and it's not, I mean, it's value food, but it's not Philippe. So it's like if you took the time to listen to me that, oh, she likes, fettuccine and she likes, she's a Bronx girl, so she likes Frankie and Johnny's. Let me take her there. Or even if open me up to something new. Like, have you ever been to this best pizza spot? Like, they have the best pizza ever. I love pizza. If you take me to a pizza spot that I ain't never been to and the pizza's well done, people laugh at me because I say whenever I go to get a slice of pizza, I say, can I get the slice well done? Like if it's steak or something. And I don't know if it's a Bronx thing, but I just like I be like, can I get a slice well done? And they understand what I mean when I say that. So I feel like, and I love coffee. If you take me to a cafe that's playing some good music and it's the best coffee I've ever had in my life, I'm going to talk about you in the group chat. I'm going to be like, listen, he took me to this dope spot. And he even know how and I talk about how I'm a coffee drinker. I drink coffee every morning. So it's like, if you ask me, how do you like your coffee? And I meet you and you have a cup of coffee the way that I like it, you got me. So I just feel like we're not we're not asking the right questions. We're not really doing the work. And I just feel like we use luxury for an excuse to court. Like, oh, well, I took her to Philippe, so I took her to this restaurant. I took her there. And I'm like, okay, but did you ask her what she wanted or what she liked? Did you even have a conversation before you even tried to take her out on a date? Like, are we asking the right questions? Are we doing the work?
Well,
That would be my response.
I'm gonna say if you take her to a coffee shop, get some points. If you take her to get some pizza, you get some points.
Yeah.
But I will point out that what I learned in courting, because I've been through this before, where you're trying to impress somebody, and because of what you've seen, and it was, I was younger then, so that's what my thought process was. If I take her to an expensive restaurant, then it shows that I like her, and I was blowing a lot of money and not getting second dates. And then I went out with somebody I didn't like, and I didn't do anything. But they kept pushing and trying to get another date and kept trying to go further. And I realized that was my epiphany. The people that like you don't give a fuck what you do. They like you. And they will try to do their best to get you to like them. So maybe you should start dating people that already like you and not somebody you got to impress.
That is true. And you know what? I stopped going at this age in my 30s. I don't want to go on dates with people that I like. Before I would go on a date with anybody. You want to take me out? Oh, I get to get cute. Da, 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 da. Now I'm like, nah. But like my time is very valuable now. So if you take me out on a date, I like you.
Mm.
So let's go get a slice well done.
The other thing I say about the dating thing is sometimes you just got to do what you want to do and not what the person wants to do. Yeah. That's your opportunity to expose them to who you are.
Exactly.
And what's good about you.
Yeah.
You create the date around things that you like. And after that date, if they're not intrigued, then you know that they're not for you. Mm-hmm. And lastly, if you're eating, what are you not doing?
You're not talking.
Thank you. So how do you get to know each other? You just ate a lot of food, got sleepy, and then what? So I'm going to take you somewhere where I can actually converse.
I get it. But do you feel people are talking? I don't feel like people. I feel like people are like, well, me, I'm still dating. So I feel like people are not getting to know each other. Like a guy like you hit you up in the DM and then, okay, when we going to meet? Like, how do you know you're going to even like me? Like, you may like my pictures. You may like the funny memes that I post. Or you may like what me video chat, whatever you see, like if you see me on Playtime or something like that, or you see me in a group chat with my friends, but you don't know me as a person, like me as Dominique. So it's like, are we taking the time to even make a phone call? Are we like, maybe I work nights and you work days and that just doesn't work for us? Like, how do you get to know me before? Like, do you think how many phone conversations should we have before we have a first date? Let me ask you that question.
So I don't know how many phone conversations you should have before a first date, but you've known me for a while. I'm a talker.
Yeah.
I talk, I ask questions. I'm curious to know what you're thinking. I'm curious to know your thought process. So I'm going to ask the right questions to get you to answer what I think I need to know if it's worth the investment. Mm-hmm. And I think more people should do that. But you can't criticize a generation of people that don't communicate because of all of the technology that's in place that made it impossible to communicate or converse.
You're right. You're
like,
right.
Like before, when I was a kid, my mother brought us all the video games, but we could never have company. Mm-hmm. We were all outside. There was 1,000 kids outside in the park. We all knew each other. We all playing games. We all fighting and being friends. Nobody shooting, stabbing nobody. And now you got these kids who never go outside, but they got 1,000 kids all over the country that they know. Like, oh, that's my boy. We play Call of Duty together, but they never met each other. They not even in the same region. So how can you learn how to communicate or converse with people if you don't have those skills in place right now? So you can't be mad.
I'm not mad. And then I look at it, even my generation, like I cannot and I'm a terrible texter. I text the way I talk. So I'm going to say one sentence and it's going to, like, if I have a whole paragraph, it's going to be like 7 messages. It's ridiculous. I just hate texting, especially when it's long conversations. I'd rather do like little voice note things, but then that's not really, conducive or like a flow of communication. And I can say that I was conditioned to it. Like I dated a lot of guys who just text. So finally, when I dated somebody who calls me, I'm just like, hello? Like, like I had to like, why is he calling me all this? Like what's going on? Like, and it's like, wow, Dominique, you really were conditioned to something you don't really like. You like to talk. So why are you second guessing? Why is he calling me so much? Like, like this is what you want. And it's like, you kind of took yourself out of the things that you want because you're so used to the things that you're getting and you're settling. And it's like, why do I have to settle? Because you feel like that's what everybody else is doing. Everybody else is texting. So I got to text.
But isn't it ironic? We are a society of conditions, but we question what we actually want from people. It's like, oh, you're not like everybody else, so something's wrong with you. But I've been asking for this, and maybe this is the universe saying, hey, finally giving you somebody that you wanted. You waited, you did the right things, but now everything that he does is going to be challenged based off of him being different. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, you got to assess that. That's a you thing. Only you can answer that.
That's a you thing. And sometimes we have to learn what's a you thing and what's, you get conditioned by all the, the bad dates and the trauma. And then finally, when somebody's showing you something, you think it's a gimmick or you think, oh no, this ain't right. It's too good to be true. And it's like, okay, maybe it's your time now, girl. It's your time.
The way that
So-
my brain works is I will have conversation with you and I'll log everything that you say that makes sense and what doesn't make sense. And then eventually during our next conversation, I'm gonna challenge those viewpoints to see if that's truly who you are. So if you say you're a talker, I'm gonna create questions to make you talk. If you say that you hate controversy and stuff like that, I might give you a little controversy just to see how you react. I'm curious to know, why don't you like it? Do you have good conflict resolution skills? Can you control yourself when you're emotional? So I challenge everything that people say in a conversation. I'm like, okay, I'll wait, next conversation. I remember he said this, she said this, and that. I'm gonna challenge them on that with a question and see how they react. That's how my brain works.
And then I feel like we're in a society of like just giving up. Like we don't give up on our job. Like we don't give up when our boss get on. We'll stay at a job for 5 years, knowing we can't stand our boss. We can't stand our job. But we disagree with somebody and we ready to just get rid of them.
So let me bring it back to the topic because I don't want to go all over the place.
I know.
Between men and women, who do you think gives up the most?
Based on I'm gonna say this based
It's
on my
cool to say based on your
experiences.
So
nobody come after me. I would say men.
And I would say why?
I would say based on the experiences that I've seen with my friends and situations that I've been in relationships, that they have all given up. And I never forget there was this one relationship that I was in and we were madly in love. Like I really thought this was the one. And he chose another girl over me because he said if he was to choose me, he would be taking a risk. And he's not sure that he's not, I want to quote him right. He said if he chose me, he would be taking a risk. He knows that the other girl will always want to be with him, but with me down the years, he don't know if I would stay because I was younger at that time than him, and they already had a relationship and a rapport, and they were in a relationship before, so that was like her first love, her only. And he's like, she's only been with me, she only knows me, so I know if I go back to that, that's all she's gonna want. But if I'm
gonna ask you,
go ahead.
How old were you?
At that time, I was 26.
So I'm going to use a quote that somebody I follow says all the time. Zoe would say, so you 13 twice. You trying to make sense of a 13-year-old brain twice?
No.
So how are you going to try to equate men as quitters from that experience?
That's my one. I ain't done. I said that was one.
Okay, that's the one that you gave. So
that's the one that I gave.
Okay, so give one based off of your friends that equates that men quit the most.
I had a friend who her spouse cheated on her a lot, and the tables turned, and he couldn't handle it, and he left her.
Interesting. Now, is that a quitting mindset, or is that just a dynamic of men and women? Is what I'm going to ask you.
It could be a little bit of both, because they say that it's harder for men to forgive, a woman for cheating than it is vice versa. So it could be both. It could be the dynamic of how, society is, or how the makeup of a man versus a woman, or it could be, just general that men are, they quit easily when it comes to relationships.
I'm not going to say quit easily, but I will say it is the makeup of a man versus the makeup of a woman.
Okay.
And I will simplify it by saying, you ever heard of the term bend and break? Women will bend, men will break. And that has to do with the masculinity, the testosterone, or whatever you want to call it. Men tend to break things when they get angry. Women tend to bend. So I don't think it's a quit thing. It's like he did what he did. Now she did it back to him. He can't take it because he's angry. So he's breaking. That's not a quit. You know what I'm saying? So I will throw back. I'll give you a little pushback.
All right.
In terms of American numbers, most of the articles that I've written and most of the experts that I've listened to when it comes to relationships, especially marriages, women file for 80% of the divorces. That's a quit. That is resolving a marriage saying, I am done. I can't deal with you no more. So when you say men quit, I'm like, I don't really hear men quitting. I normally hear men staying, even if the thing is messed up, they'll stay. They don't think of out. They won't think of leaving. Women normally be like, I can't deal with it no more. I'm out.
But look at the dive. We got to dive deeper in these statistics. Like, what are the reasons why women are divorcing? Why are men staying? Are women making it easier for men to stay? And I'm not saying because I'm just trying to, be a little devil's.
You going down that road.
I'm going down that road. I'm being devil's advocate. Why they leaving and why they staying? We need to know why.
You know what I'm gonna play for you right now.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God. Stop fucking lying.
I'm gonna take a sip.
Play that one time because I'm just gonna say you didn't answer the question. You can't, it's kind of like a justification. You didn't delve deep into the question. You kind of like, well, why are women making it easy for men to stay? Men normally just stay. It was one era in especially in the Black community during the what's the joint, the square deal, welfare, and all stuff like that, where they came out with that law that if you had a man in the household, you would be cut off.
Yeah, from welfare.
So a lot of the men that were married actually left and said, yo, you get the money here, I'll come by and visit and I'll work. And then it was also a champion for women to say, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
But the notion is all these men left. And it was like, no, they didn't leave. There was women had an option to kick men out. And some men actually had an option to leave to better do something for the family so that they could try to survive. But men normally don't quit. You still get, hey, big head Texas to this day. Why? Because men don't quit. They just try to see where they fit in your space.
They don't quit, but it's like of course they're not gonna quit the vagina. Like that they have that, they want that forever.
Sounds like a justification to me.
I don't know how to explain it. Maybe I'm not stating my case correctly.
Yeah, you losing right now. Hold on.
I'm losing. I'm losing. Yeah. You about to finish me. You could say that. Finish her.
So when you say men quit, I'm still trying to understand the notion of quitting.
You know what? Maybe it's not physically, emotionally. I feel like men are willing to just emotionally evaporate out of a relationship. I've heard a lot of that where a man may stay with a woman in a relationship, or they go back and forth into these entanglements or situationships. They're physically there, but they're not mentally there. So what is making a man emotionally not be there? Like,
so
is it us?
I'll ask you this.
Yeah.
When has a Black man in your community, your family, or within the society has the ability to show emotion?
It's not conditioned as a trait a man should have.
So when will they learn all these years when they're telling you don't cry, man up, men are supposed to take responsibility, supposed to be head of households, but they're not seeing how to release this emotion. Now you're telling out of the blue, they're supposed to learn how to be emotion, express emotion. So I'm asking you, where in the spectrum do men actually have the ability to show emotion in order for you to get emotion?
I don't know. I'm confused. Like, it's, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's maybe that's why I'm still single. I don't know. Like, I don't get it. Like,
well, this is why we're having a conversation. We're trying to learn more about men and women. And I would say, we grew up in New York, and I've seen a lot of younger mothers with sons kind of beat the hell out of their sons when they cry.
Yeah.
It's kind of like he's a kid. He's supposed to cry.
Yeah.
But they're kind of manhandling this little 1-year-old to be a man at 1, and then are shocked that they raised a man that don't know how to have emotion, or don't have the freedom to show emotion. Because even if you cry on the street, guess what every other boy is going to do? beat that ass when they get the opportunity. Like, oh, he a punk, he cries, so I can take it out on him. So it's weird that we're told not to express emotion. We shouldn't express emotion, but when we're old and we're adults and we're in relationships, that we are supposed to know how to express emotion.
So let me ask you, as a man, who did you feel comfortable being emotional with growing up?
Well, I was an emotional kid, so
Okay.
I don't tap dance or perform for anybody. If I'm angry, you're gonna sense it. And the
Hmm.
reason why you're gonna sense it is because everybody says, you're normally happy, you always laughing, you're always joking. I'm
Hmm.
normally a happy guy. I'm normally singing songs in my head. I'm normally cracking about jokes that I've heard in the past or
Hmm.
seen today. So I don't know how to be fake and be something that I'm not.
So
So
you wear
I've
your
always been
emotions on your sleeve.
always.
So
And that's
have
why I
you
can't
felt
lie.
have you felt comfortable being that way growing up as a black man?
Yeah, I'm happy. See the smile on my face. I'm
I
always
know.
like, everybody that knows me
So what
knows who
makes
I
you
am.
different than other black men? What was different?
It could be the ability that my parents allowed me to be who I am. Although my
Mm,
father is like that manly man,
hmm.
sometimes if he cry, he be like, yo, sometimes you gotta cry. Like, let that
Hmm.
shit out. Don't hold it in.
Hmm.
Just let it out. So I got that upbringing while
Hmm.
still being in the community where you couldn't cry and you were punk
Yeah.
when you cried. But when you call me a punk as a kid, you got to beat me in order to prove that I'm a punk. So I could
Hmm.
cry right now, still beat you up, and still be considered the man on the block. But
Hmm.
me, my mother raised me and my brother on family trips to just talk, and that's why I love talking. Like, what do
Oh,
you feel
that's,
about this? I heard this
yeah.
article. What do you feel about this? And we always had to give our opinions. And I was the talker. My brother was I have no opinion. My mother would say, well, why don't you have an opinion? And he had to express why he didn't have an opinion.
Yeah.
So we're very vocal. Yeah.
So you feel like it's the upbringing, basically.
I think it's the upbringing. I think it's the community coupled with the person. Everybody has different makeups on how their brain works, how their emotions work, how they react to things, how their brain triggers different things. So
Hmm.
it's no number one answer. And I think too much in our society, we're looking for the number one answer. And the
Hmm.
number one answer normally fits what we either experience or believe what it should be. And the world is bigger than that.
So how do we fix it? Me as a woman, and I'm dating black men because that's my preference.
Mhm.
How, if a man expressed to me that he doesn't know how to express himself emotionally, or he feels that if he's vulnerable, he's not, it makes him less of a man or feel less masculine. How do I make him comfortable that he can be vulnerable?
So you said me dating a black man. So I'm going to say there's nothing wrong with dating your own versus dating outside your own.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is when you use your negative experiences to justify why you won't date your own. There's a
Mm.
lot of people that be like, I've
I don't date
heard
black
people
men
say
because.
the black man struggle is too much to deal with. And in my mind, I'm like, though, the black man struggle is your struggle because y'all come from the same communities. So if
Exactly.
you're gonna opt out of your own because you keep picking the wrong person,
Mm-hmm.
there's millions and millions of people on this planet Earth. We grew up in New York in the city. You know how big New York actually is, the entire state.
Yeah, it's
Like I was
huge.
shocked when we drove to Toronto for the All-Star game
Mm-hmm.
that it took us 8 hours to get out of New York
Mm-hmm.
just to get to Canada. And I'm just like, damn, I never even came up this way. I don't even know what's up here.
Mm-hmm.
So if you only date within your borough and you only date to your liking, and your liking might not be the best thing that
For you.
that guides your judgment. Because a lot of times, how can I say this? People will date somebody that they like that they know is not good for them only because it provokes or evokes an emotion, something that feels comfortable. I've seen a woman say to a boy, because you don't grab me, I know you don't love me. But when I think about her background, she comes from an abusive family. So
Mm-hmm.
that's love to her. Somebody getting mad and grabbing her up made her feel loved. And in my mind, I'm like, that's weird because I didn't grow up with that. But I understand why she would say that because she's watched it her
Yeah.
entire life. So I think if you want to improve your relationships, it all starts with you.
Mm-hmm.
You only have control of you. So you got to either be at different venues. What do you love to do? Are you an artsy person? Are you going to art galas and getting a different experience, or are you still in the hood trying to make this hood guy this good guy? Like, even if you
I
think
don't
about all,
even I don't even think that I would say I like hood guys. I just think that well, I think I'm starting to get it together. I think through therapy, I have learned my my worth, and I really have learned not to get in my own way. I have learned accountability. I have learned to see the signs. And it's my upbringing. I grew up where my mother took my father back like 5 6 times. And it's like you say, I always looked at my mom like, oh, I'll never be that way. And then it's like, I'm kind of that way. Like, how many men have I dated that I've given 2 or 3 chances to that I shouldn't have? So it's like, I'm not going to blame it on my mom or the dynamic I grew up in, but sometimes, you know, like they say, you live in a house and one person will go out the front door or go out the back door or go out the window. And it's like, okay, my mom went out the front door and I always said I was going to go out the back door. But sometimes I feel like I'm going out the front door because that's that's the only way I know. It's the quickest way to the bus stop or it's the quickest way to the train. I don't want to take the long way. I don't want to do the work. And sometimes we think that it's right in front of us, but what's right in front of us is because it's easy doesn't mean it's the best. And I'm learning that.
I will say this: the more that you try to prevent a situation, the more you can possibly create the situation you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you got to be careful in trying to be in control because you felt probably, damn, my mom wasn't in control. So I'm going to be in
Mm-hmm.
control. But you're not realizing through your control tactics or the way that you are, you might be creating the same situation for a guy that's not even your father, or you that's not even your mother.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I saw a marriage go downhill because the woman said that her mother was soft and her father was a controller. So she didn't want to be that way. And her trying to control, not being controlled, she created the environment with the guy because he kept trying to fight to be free, to be a man in the marriage,
Mm-hmm.
while she kept fighting to try to be not her mother. And that marriage went downhill. So you just got to be aware of you, in control of you, and
Yeah.
be understanding of what you're doing in terms of your decisions and the outcomes that you want.
Mm-hmm.
So if you keep doing the same thing and keep getting the same outcome, it might be a you issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Mm. So we've been going on for a good conversation about men and women. So I'm gonna give you opportunity to throw some questions at me
Mm-hmm.
so we can delve deeper into understanding men and women.
Okay.
So you go one, I'll go one.
All right. How can you tell a man your needs without bruising his ego?
So the first thing I would say to men and women, why do you care if you bruise somebody's ego? Is this not what you need to know? So just ask it and don't care about hurting somebody's feelings. Is this your qualifier that you need to know that this person is who they are? Then why do you care? You haven't been in a relationship with this person, your oldest person, nothing. Ask the questions you need to get this job. When you go for a job interview, do you
Mm-hmm.
care about how you ask your questions that you need to know that you want to take this job? Or do
No.
you just ask your question?
You ask
Does
your
the employer
questions.
ask you, like, do you care about this question? No, you ask, you get the information that you need, and then you take the job based off it. That's exactly what dating is. Dating is not
Mm-hmm.
just something that's supposed to be blissful. It is, one, a negotiation, and two, it is something that will expose you to why you are the way you are.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'll say. Just ask the questions you need to figure out if this is a job that you want.
Okay.
Mm. You
Okay.
want me to go?
Go ahead.
Okay. What would you say are the universal character traits of a woman?
Hmm. The universal character traits of a woman. Emotional.
Mm. What else?
Uh,
That's it?
no, I'm thinking because I'm thinking universal. I would say nurturing. Even though some women feel like they're not nurturing, I feel like we just have that built in our DNA to be nurturers.
So you know what I'm about to do, right? I'm about
Go
to
ahead.
challenge you. I'm about to
Get over here!
because not too long ago you said men are supposed to be emotional. So are men supposed to be like women? Because that was your first character trait of a woman, was emotional and a nurturer.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like you want a man to be as emotional as a woman. Then it also seems like you want a woman to be a nurturer, but not have the grace or the patience to allow themselves to nurture a man to a good relationship.
Now, what I want a man to show emotion.
Okay. Keep going. That's it.
I can't have a man. I can't be too emotional and he emotional because I'm very sensitive. So if we both sensitive, it ain't gonna work. Because one of us gotta be like, all right, Dominique, you taking this too far. I didn't mean to say it like that. You can't be like, well, you said this, and I'll be like, well, I said that, and it's not gonna go nowhere. So we do need a balance.
So you know what I'm gonna challenge you on, right?
Go ahead.
You automatically said it's not gonna work.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't it work? I'm pointing out the fact that you said it's not gonna work. So it's like
I feel
you
like
already
it won't.
answered it. So
I
you're
feel
not even
like
gonna
it.
explore that.
I feel like it won't work because it's a saying that an emotional person needs a great communicator, which I feel is good. Me as an emotional person, it was hard for me to communicate my feelings because I felt that if I communicated my feelings, the person wouldn't not under. I'm very emotional, but not vulnerable. I don't know how that works, but it does. I can be internally emotional about something and sensitive, but I won't tell you because I'm afraid that you'll use it against me. And that's why I've been in therapy because I have to learn that with being emotional, you have to express yourself of your emotions. You have to show vulnerability because I put a wall up and then you're just thinking, okay, she has no emotion, but I do. I have a lot of emotion, but I'm just scared to show it to you because I feel you'll use that against me.
Now I'm gonna challenge you. I don't know if everybody else is listening.
You gonna
but
challenge me the whole day?
I heard. You know what I heard?
What?
I'm not a good communicator. Everything you just said was not good communicative skills. While saying I'm a good communicator.
I've grown to be a good communicator. I was not a good communicator. I've just became a good communicator within the last year. I'm not gonna lie to you. I would put up this defense. I would be angry. You wouldn't know why. I would not say anything. I would shut down. I would just cut you off.
But that's 20-year-old stuff. That's what we do in our 20s. We're trying to
Yeah.
figure it out. But the question I'm now going to ask you, and now that you're saying that that's who you was, why do you feel like two emotional people, another emotional person with you wouldn't work at this stage?
Because I feel like the communication has to. I'll put a scenario out there. I feel if they're not a good communicator, it's not going to work. But if they're a good communicator and we're both communicating, okay, well, you said this and this hurt me. And then you could say, okay, well, the way you respond hurt me. Then we could talk that out. But I just feel it won't work if we are both not good communicators. So I'm going to clean that up a little bit.
Okay.
If we both cannot communicate our emotions, then it's not going to work.
So you do know that statement is different.
Yes.
I need a good communicator in order for things to work. Makes more sense than we can't both be emotional. It's just not going to work.
Yes, you're right.
All right. Just making sure.
My verbiage, yes.
So you said emotional and nurturers. Those are the universal traits of a woman?
Yes.
Interesting. All right. I'll let that rock. And hopefully if anybody listen, they could throw some questions back on the traits, on the trait side.
And
I'll throw it back to you.
We're problem solvers. I feel like we're able to take something and dissect it and figure out other alternatives. I think so. I think we're good problem solvers.
So then why ask how you can get men to communicate better? That seems like an easy fix.
The male species. That's just that's one. Out. It's not a cop out because I felt like let's take. I feel like I figured out a lot of things in life, but when it comes to a man or it comes to relationships, I'm learning to still trying to figure that out. That's been my hardship. And I feel like I've conquered things in my life that that I felt like will be impossible, like revamping my career and educating myself or getting myself out of financial debt and all these other problems that I had. I felt like I was able to solve them, but why can't I solve this?
Listen, I'm gonna say
Of the opposite sex.
I don't disagree with you. I don't want people to think that I'm disagreeing. I think women are wonderful beings, great nurturer, great communicators, great problem solvers. But I think in the area of relationships, it might be a little catch-22 to say
it is. I agree.
That women are great problem solvers, but still can't solve this issue of how to communicate in relationships. But that's what this episode is about, trying to figure it out, right? All right, so I'll throw it back to you. You got a question for me?
Let's see. All right, this is a good one for me. That I hear a lot. You know, I used to work with a lot of men. And one thing they would say is that they settled in relationships. I hear that a lot, like from men. Well, I settled, you know, and that's why I'm not really that happy. And it's like, why do guys sometimes settle with someone they love but not in love with? That confuses me.
I am going to challenge that notion of the word settle. Does anybody know what the origin of the word settle means? No. You want to know? And I made sure I pulled it up just to make sure
I know. I was about to look it up too. I was like, wait, let me look it up.
Settle. The origin of the word settle means to come to rest. It means literally sit your ass down and have a break. It doesn't mean to lower your standards to attract somebody. So
why do we use that word that way?
Because society is normally dumb in a sense. You have the dictionary that justifies all of these universal meanings to a word, and then you have the etymology that kind of talks about the history of words, where it came from. Like they just put finna in the dictionary as a word.
Finna?
Yeah.
Like I'm finna go?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Do you think that's really a word you can use in a business transaction or an essay?
No.
Why not?
I mean, well, now you can if it's in a dictionary or you quoting somebody like we finna go.
I dare you to put finna in your college essay and see what your professor says.
Of course, they're not gonna say that's proper grammar, but we're just a society. I don't know where society is going nowadays. Like, I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like, it's ghetto out there.
Well, let's not veer off. I want to go back to the settling terms. So
let's finna go back to what the subject.
Finna go back to settle. So settle just means to take a rest, take a break, sit down. That does not mean that you are lowering your standards for a person. If you're lowering your standards for a person, what does that say about the person that's lowering their standards? It's almost like an avoidance tactic. I picked a bad person, so I'm going to say I lowered my standards and settled with this person, but not recognizing something about me attracted this person, and I picked this person. Two different things. There's an analyzation in you as the picker. You can't let nobody into your space that doesn't want to be there.
Yeah.
So that's what I'll say. No, I don't think people settle. I think people get the reality that you think you're here, but you're not. Can't get above your experience.
That you said can't get above your experience. I like that. I like that a lot. See, that makes sense. That makes sense than settling.
Just like almost like when you hear women say, niggas ain't shit. Then you hear some men say, bitches ain't shit. You gotta be a little bit of ain't shit to keep picking ain't shit.
That's true.
It's a little bit of you. And when you get you better, when you do better, when you change your thought process, your vibration, your frequency, your surroundings, you will get a better outcome. So,
you're not gonna attract that.
Yep, you're gonna be above it.
So, I agree. Yeah. All right, throw a question to me.
All right, so I got you. Oh, what would you say are positive characteristics in a woman? And what would you say are negative characteristics in a woman?
I'm gonna start with the negative.
Okay.
I feel we are judgmental.
I like that one. Keep going. Honesty. That's what I want to hear.
I feel we are very judgmental. We expect a lot from men, but we have shortcomings that we are not willing to come. We're willing for men to accept our shortcomings, but want a lot from men. And we judge them. We do. Like we judge a man by his career or by his circumstances, his upbringings. And we could have the same upbringing or financial, and it's okay. So I feel like that part is not right.
Mm.
Like
I
I shouldn't
appreciate the honesty. That's what the men are listening want to hear. They want to hear some real honesty and
took me.
not the deflections.
You speak to a 30-some-year-old Dominique now. 20-some-year-old Dominique wouldn't have said that. I wouldn't have said that. I do feel we're very judgmental. I feel sometimes we're not realistic.
Mm.
I feel like we are conditioned to fairy tales. And I'm not, it could be kind of society that, Disney movies and these books that we read and stuff like that. So I don't know if I could, I don't know if I can blame that on women
Santa
ourselves.
Claus,
Well, Santa Claus
Cupid.
Cupid. Now I'm talking about, Disney movies like they're supposed to be, I'm just going to be sleeping. Like if you really think about the Sleeping Beauty. So she just slept her whole life away till a man came and then everything just started.
But
Like we think about all these, the girl, the Little Mermaid, she was lost in the sea until she came up to the land, and now she don't even want to be under the sea no more. She want to be a whole new world. It's like it's like you look at these movies and it's like it's always a man that's changing the woman's life, and making it better.
I will say you can say Disney as a point of reference because it always has that knight in shining armor, the happily ever after ending, and life is just not that. Yeah. But it also speaks to, I think, an upbringing where society had a structure that men came to marry a woman in order to create a family. So it's not too far off on what the dynamic is. Yeah. But I think the fairy tale about everything is going to be happily ever after is the worst. And then I don't think any of the Easter bunnies, Santa Clauses, and all that other stuff helps because you have all these depictions of what you think it's going to be. And then you get into the world and you're like, hey, that's none of the stuff y'all said. It's true. And life is not as nice and people are not nice out here. So, even with the police officers, like, hey, police officer when you're a kid, and then when you get older, you're like, that's not the same energy I was getting when I was younger. It's weird, but I appreciate the honesty. But now I'm gonna give you an opportunity because I'm gonna push back and say those negative things are also on men's side as well. But I want to give you an opportunity to give me some positives so that the listeners know that we're not ganging up on one side. We're not one-sided. We're trying to explore all angles of a situation.
I feel women are great compromisers.
Explain.
I feel like, and I know this may sound like she just said we're judgmental. How can we compromise?
Listen, contradictions.
I feel when a woman's in love or when a woman wants to initiate or be in a situation, she can make it work. I feel like as women, we make it work. If we love this man or we love this job or we love this place, we gonna make it work. We always can make it. I feel like we could always make a house. This
house you build is about to collapse. This house you build is about to collapse.
No,
that's a weak foundation.
I do believe that we're great compromisers. I feel like we're always able to make things work. Like
y'all could be good compromisers, but the definition you gave is about to come crumbling down on you. That.
All right, so let me give you another definition. Let me give you another situation.
I'm going to wreck it.
I know. Okay, so let me give you a better situation. I feel like, okay, me and my girlfriends, I'll give a situation. One is always doesn't have a babysitter. One lives in Jersey. One always works. And then there's one that's always free. No matter what, every twice out the year, we always make it work to see each other. So I feel like we'll be like, okay, well, if you got the kid, well, let's see if this person could watch the kid, and then I'm gonna make sure that I take off this Saturday. Like, we just make things work. We know how to get it done. That I don't. Every woman that I know finds a way to get it done. We're great
Oh,
compromisers. We know how to make things work.
I thought that was called adulthood, but maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, come on, give me
You
some
said
credit.
get it done, and I'm like, yeah, everybody kind of got to get it done.
We make it
that comes with
happen.
maturity.
No, we make it happen.
I'm
We
talking
make it
about
happen.
the definition you're given to the word that you say. It's not aligned. That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to understand where it connects.
I just feel like maybe I'm not giving good situations, but I just feel like we want a positive thing about women. Every woman that I know, they make it work. No matter what, they make it work. No matter what obstacle they have in their way, they make it work. They're great compromisers. They know how to fit themselves into any situation and make it work.
But now you have to express, how does making it work equate to women being 80% of the people that's filed for their first time divorces? That's not making it work.
This divorce thing, I can't.
Listen, we're having a conversation, so I'm gonna pull
and I
stuff
can't
that
really,
we said.
I know, and I really can't justify that. I'm not gonna sit here and try to pull a rabbit out of a hat. Like, I can't justify the numbers. The numbers don't lie. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't.
And then a second ago, you said something about love, and then my mom like, I think we throw that love around too loosely, because
But I just feel
love is not making it work.
But are we marrying the right people? These are the questions that need answers. I don't know what's going on.
I don't even think we're around the right people. I just think we're a bunch of people thrown into neighborhoods because this is what we could afford to be around.
I agree. I don't feel like, I feel like people are just accustomed to, okay, well, we've been together for a while. The next step is to get married. We're not doing the work. We're not stepping out of our bounds. Like, I look at my little brother, for instance. Like, he decided to go to Chicago for school, and he's in a wonderful, he's young, he's 26. He met a girl randomly, like it wasn't on some, okay, they were dating, like they were on Tinder, whatever. And they're living together for 2 years. And it's like, okay, if he never got out of the Bronx, would he have met that girl in Chicago?
Nope.
No. So it's like, we kind of like don't give ourselves the opportunity to meet people, to find love. And it's like, we're like, okay, we can't find love, but are we making, like, even me as a person, I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe my man ain't here. Maybe I gotta go somewhere else. And so you don't condition your mind to like think that it's not me. Maybe it's my location. Maybe it's my mindset. Maybe it's all these other factors that I'm not looking at. I'm dissecting just what's in front of my face. Like, maybe I'm not supposed to be here, and this is the reason why I'm gonna marry Joe Schmo instead of marrying John Smith, because I ain't taking the chance.
But everything you said, doesn't that start with you?
Does start with me.
Why are you here and not there? Why are you on Tinder versus this? Why are you expecting the person on social media or on Tinder to be the person that you want to fall in love with? I think normally we come with too many expectations.
We do.
Versus just trying to figure it out. Nothing's going to be easy. Nothing's handed to you. You just got to figure it out. And the more that you figure it out, the better opportunities you'll have to assess character, to assess people. But if you're expecting every single time you go on a dating app, or every time you go out on a date with a person, that this is just supposed to work out because you picked this person. No, there's a lesson in why you picked this person and why you're getting this experience. Everything is supposed to make you grow. So if you're not learning from it and you keep repeating the same courses, it comes back to you.
It's true.
Yeah. All right. So which question you got?
Okay, let's see. Wait, I only said one positive thing about females.
Oh, okay. You got more? You only said 2 negative things about females, but they were good. I liked it too. That's the best honesty you got all time.
Don't come for me like that. I think I'm pretty honest. I'm basing things on my experience. So it may, I know.
This is entertainment.
I know. One more. Let's see. Let me give the ladies one more before I start getting hate mail from the females. Like, you said we were judgmental. We are not judgmental. I'm like, yeah, you judging me now. Let me stop. I feel, let me see. And I'm thinking, I'm not trying to just deflect on myself, I'm trying to think of all the women in my life. What is the common positive thing that I see in them? We have hope. I feel like we have hope.
Hopeless romantics? What do you mean by
No, we
hope?
have hope.
Hope
Like
is bland. We need
hope.
context on this podcast. So
I feel like
we gonna talk to the people.
I feel like we're optimists. I'll use a better word. We're very optimistic. A lot of females that are in my life are very optimistic. Like through the things that they've been through in their life has not defined them as a character, as a person. Like they're very what's the word I'm looking for? Triumphant, I guess. Like they push through. They push through their diversity. And I feel like that has to be optimism. I see a lot of females that are optimistic, and all the females that I've encountered have different stories of adversity or just different things that they've been through. And I feel like they've made the best out of their situation. So I feel women, we have that attribute.
The one positive trait and the reason why I asked this question, the one positive trait I think women have that men don't have is unity.
Unity?
Y'all stick together on more things than men do. Men do not care about. Women go out on vacations together. They go out to lounges and clubs.
That is true. That is true.
Women have each other backs. Women
Our
will
friendships
join
are
other
a lot.
women causes. Women have a certain type of unity that don't exist with men. And men is kind of like, if it's not what I want, then I really don't care. We've been on group text where we're like, yo, we're gonna all meet here, and then everybody fall asleep. Nobody send that text to link up. It's kind of like, yeah, we kind of knew we was gonna get together.
But we need that, women. We need that. We need sisterhood. We need it.
Yeah, y'all got it. That's the one positive.
Because who could we be vulnerable to? Like, we got to be vulnerable to somebody. Well, somebody got to understand all these emotions we going through. We got to talk to somebody.
Just to make sure for all the women that's listening, when you want to be vulnerable with your friends, you go to somebody to give you good advice. Stop going into your dumbass friends and making that try to make sense.
And that's why I went to therapy, because sometimes I know there's some things that I just can't tell my friends because I'm not going to get the right advice, and I need to speak to a professional. So I have learned that. I learned I have my good time friends. I have my venting friends. I have my vacation friends, my educated friends. I got friends for every situation, but sometimes when it comes to life, you need professional help. So I have my therapist.
I got two groups of people when it comes to talking. Mm-hmm. I need people that's going to challenge what I'm saying, and then I need listeners. Those are the only two I need. I don't need anything else, but I need somebody when I need to be challenged on what I'm thinking. Yo, this is what I'm thinking. Please help this make sense. Or, hey, I'm going through something and I just need you to listen. No response or nothing like that. But those are the two forms of therapy that I seek when I'm going to a therapist. I need somebody to listen, but I also need somebody to help me understand what it is I'm thinking. And is my mind frame correct? So those are the two groups that I have.
Okay.
All right, so what's your question?
Well, you didn't. You know what? Now I kind of want to throw that question at you.
What's up?
The positive and the negative.
In men?
In men.
Oh, man. Which one you want me to get first?
Get the positive.
Threw me on the spot right now.
Hey, you threw me on the spot.
I would say generally, I don't want to target any specific group, but I think men have a certain passion to conquer, which could be a positive. They want to prove that they can do this or they can accomplish this.
Okay. Especially
if it comes with some type of competitive nature, they will definitely step up to the plate. And I think that's a positive to keep you on a track of accomplishing something before you die. Negative trait, I would say that same energy pushes a lot of men towards a greed aspect. Chartering on the lines of, I don't care who I hurt to get what I want. I think that's a bad trait. And that could show up in business, and that can show up in relationships, that can even show up in family.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good to be passionate and goal driven, but the negative is you got to also be cognizant and aware of who you might hurt along the way.
Yeah, I can agree. I feel like when men are determined, they don't care. They want to get something done, they get it done. And I admire that about men. I'll be like, shoot, they don't care. They just get it done. They don't care who they hurt. They don't care what's going to happen. So I admire, even though it may, be both a positive and a negative, I do admire that about men.
So is it my turn? My turn?
Yes.
What has society, aka the powers that be, say about traits of a woman? Trying to challenge what you gave me versus what society has deemed.
Society now makes it feel like women can't be emotional. That is a sign of weakness. And women, now that we are socially empowered, politically and professionally, it shows weakness if we're emotional about something, that we're not supposed to be emotional when we're passionate about things. And I feel like sometimes we need emotions in certain things, especially me when I was a manager. I feel like sometimes me being personable and me having emotions was my advantage over men in the same position as me. I feel like I was able to relate to people better, and I got the outcome that way by being, I guess, emotional or sensitive or more vulnerable than just being straightforward and to the point, like they expect you to be in society in these political roles or these professional roles. So I feel like us being emotional in society is negative in today in these powers that we have, because before, of course, women were not held in such high roles in professional as managers and in political officials and stuff like that. So I feel like we have to work extra hard to feel like we can get the job done because we are females.
Well, I will agree with you and say that yes, you can't give the emotion that you probably would in a situation when you're on a certain tier.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say that speaks to what might be difficult in relationships, because women, as you said, that are now working and having the same stress that men are having, women are becoming men in modern day society.
Mm-hmm.
They're working just as hard. They're making the same amount of money. They're having the same amount of stress. So now the question I'm going to ask you is, how does this affect the men and the dating aspect between men and women?
I feel women they're not learning how to turn it off.
That's a good one.
They're not learning how to be feminine, anymore, because they're so structured. It's like you can't turn it off. Like if I'm this way, and that's why I kind of happy that I'm not in a manager role anymore. Like I'm just an individual contributor. I don't have to like put up. I felt like I had to be a certain type of way, and now I feel like I don't. So it's not really an on and off switch anymore. This is just who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's hard because, of course, women back in the day didn't make as much money as men did, or didn't hold these positions as they do now. So they didn't have that type of power. And I feel sometimes women, we take it a little, we kind of take that power and we ego trip a little bit. Like, I don't need you to do this for me. I could take myself out, or I can do this, I could do that. But it's not, it's a companionship. We're human. We need that. We need that balance. And it's like, it's hard to turn it off and on. So I feel like it's a catch-22. It's like, okay, I want to be successful. I want to hold political power. I want to be able to be the manager at my job or be the VP. But why can't I be myself?
So
you
you know
know?
what's funny? I wanna push back a little bit on what you
Hmm.
said in terms of women now making the money. I've seen and witnessed situations where a woman might get a raise and make more money than the guy, and
Hmm.
then start flexing that in their face in
Yeah.
arguments.
Hmm.
Why do you think that is, and how do you think that'll change? Because to me, it comes with a lack of respect, not just for
Yes.
men, but for specifically black men.
Hmm.
So you won't disrespect your boss, but you will disrespect the man that you're trying to build a future with. So
Yeah.
I'd like you to speak to that a little bit. How do we change that?
I heard somewhere where they say women are now their relationships are their jobs and not men. Like you said, they treat their boss better than they treat their husband, or they treat their employees better than they treat the people they live with. And I just feel like it's 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 not right. I the condition of me having that role, I feel where you ego trip. It takes over you, and it's like, how do you balance that out? It takes a strong personality to balance that out, because you're told like, I'm the boss, I'm making this money, I'm in control of these employees, but your companion is not your employee.
Mhm.
Your companion is your equal, is your partner, is your balance, and it's like we come home, and how do you strip that off? How do you take those layers off? And so you feel like when you come home, like, well, damn, I'm making the bacon, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, what are you doing? And it's like, it's hard, it's really hard to be a woman with that, with the power. I feel we struggle with that. I feel like we struggle with the power. How do we balance that power and make it into and be more feminine? Like me, I don't even want to make like decisions like that no more. Like, I had to make so much decisions at work. I don't want to make decisions when I leave. I'm now in the point in my life that I don't. You want to go? You want Chinese? Let's eat Chinese. Like, I'm with it, because it's like I'm so tired of being held accountable or responsible. Like, I like the fact that a man makes a decision of where we're going or what we're doing. I don't want that control anymore, because it's like a green monster. It's like the venom. It's like it takes over you. The blackness takes over you, and you try to strip it off, and you trying to be Spider-Man, but you venom. Like, you can't take it off. And it's like, I don't know if women, we have the DNA, or we have been trained or structured how to balance that out, because
Now the
we've always.
question, you said
Yes.
something that's great, but I wanted to interject because
Yeah, go ahead.
you said women don't know how to wield that power.
Hmm.
If women don't know how to wield the power that they just have acquired over the last few years,
Hmm.
how do you expect men to explain how to wield that power that they had for centuries and still haven't been able to manage?
I just feel like how it's women don't know how to manage the power, and men don't know how to be emotional. It's society. Am I blaming society? I'm kind of blaming society, because like, how are we fixing this? What are we doing to change? What are we teaching? It's got to be taught from a young age. It can't just be something that we wake up at 35 and 36, and then we learn in a class, like they teach us a seminar or something, and we get it. It has to be a 180 in the culture and how we train our children.
But who's teaching our children?
We
Not
are.
us. No,
Yeah.
not. Society is.
Well, society is, culture is, but what I'm saying is, it's
While
got
you're at work, that child is being fed the same curriculum that you were fed, the same
exactly.
curriculum that our parents are being fed. So it's
Hmm.
kind of hard to break the cycle when you are so worried about working and paying bills. And then they're going to grow up and have kids, and they're going to be too worried about working and paying bills. And then they're going to have kids. It's a repetitive cycle of where I don't know if people are paying attention. You have these corporations that are made by men that
Hmm.
are in power to make profit by any means necessary,
Hmm.
regardless of who they kill, regardless of who they injure, regardless of who they affect. And everybody that's coming into this world of working has the same structure because they're looking upward towards the system that's in place.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have women coming in, getting the same opportunity to follow the same structure of what's in place. We're kind of making everybody unemotional. Because in order to get to your goal, you're taught that you got to hurt some people along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those emotions kind of hurt our relationships.
I agree. And I feel like there's certain things that men are taught when it comes to power and sportsmanship, like sports. I feel like if women were more into sports, we would be able to learn how to cut some emotion. Because if you think about sports, like you get fouled for being emotion, or if you showing emotion or something like that, or it's a structure to the game. There's no you out of bounds. Like you dribble. Like it's rules are rules. And it's like I feel like that structure in sports and other like things like that, women were not taught, and so it's hard for us to digest that in business
Mm-hmm.
and sportsmanship, because a lot of business has sportsmanship in it. These are the rules. Don't take it, at the end of that you lose the game, you shake the hand and you move. Like women, we're not built that way. We lose, we tight. Like I'm not shaking your hand. Like it's just different dynamics that we're taught. And I just feel like we want the same things, but we're not taught the same way. So how could we be equal?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying it's better for a man to be in power than a woman to be in power. I feel like we can do what a man could do, but we're not taught the same things.
That was great. So I will throw it back to you for a question as we continue to build. I don't know how much longer you want to go on the podcast. Still got more on you?
I got more. We could talk. You a talker, I'm a talker.
All right, so go ahead. What's your next question?
All right, let's see. Let's talk about intimacy.
What's up?
What is the difference between, I think women, we have a different perspective on intimacy versus sex. What are, from a man's point of view, what is your difference between intimacy and sex?
So I would say sex has been a convoluted definition.
Mm-hmm.
And intimacy is, because we don't use that word more than we use sex, but we still use it just as much in society, it kind of gets convoluted as well.
Mm-hmm.
So the difference, I would say, is sex is something that we have bastardized in all forms of life.
Mm-hmm.
Television, work. So like some people use sex as work to come up. Music. I think it's become just as taboo to where I remember as a kid, shows where the husband and wife didn't sleep in the same bed, and now like people are sleeping together in the same bed, the same household. LGBT shows are showing more on television, so it's not taboo no more. It's just it's out there. Kids are learning at faster ages. Cell phones, kids have cell phones now, and I've seen 9-year-olds actually Googling sex on their phone and stuff like that. So it's hard to wrangle what sex is other than an act at this point. Intimacy is, it's literally just an act. It's just something that we do now. It's something that we do as time goes by. And intimacy, people using it in terms of like it's supposed to be something bigger and better than sex, but intimacy is more along the lines of time spent, valuable time, valuable connections without the act of sex.
That part. Okay. That's was my confusion.
But that's how I see it.
Yeah.
But society doesn't see it like that, but that's how I see it.
I've always tied sex as an act, of course, a sexual act. But there's sex without intimacy and sex with intimacy. So intimacy to me feels like I have a connection with this person that I'm having sex with, that I want to spend the night with them, that I want to wake up with them in the morning, that we can have a good conversation, that we have chemistry.
So you said
Sex,
that's what intimacy is?
I used to tie those two together.
Oh, okay.
So when you said that sex is just the act and the intimacy is actually the action of wanting to be with somebody and quality time spent, I see what you're saying. I can see the difference. Me, I used to correlate intimacy and sex as like you could have sex without intimacy, you know, basically just fucking. And then intimacy, kind of like making love, kind of, I guess, like, you know, I'm passionate. The passion is there. So when you described it that way, I think that's probably how men see it.
Well, I don't know if all men see it that way, but I'll give you this. So I have these discussions with the Axe on Monday on Playtime, right? And I expressed to a group of women that if you're not, as they would say, fucking with a purpose, what is your purpose? Is it just to come? And if that's the case, now you're thinking like a man, who most times is just to come. But if your purpose is to connect emotionally, to harmonize on a higher frequency, a higher vibration, I don't think a lot of people have sex with that in mind. Like me being married and me getting sexual with my wife, it's to connect. It's to be deeper. It's to be intertwined spiritually, where we come around each other and we can sense our energies are not where it was. That's different versus the porn sound over and over again. Like a lot of people watching porn and thinking that's what sex is. Like sex has two purposes: connection with your partner and reproduction. And if you're not having sex with those two goals in mind, then you're doing it wrong, I'd say.
So let me ask you a part two to that, because there's I've heard a lot of females have said that they have this passionate sex, you know, and it's a connection, but then they don't have the relationship. How is that possible?
Well, you got to,
or maybe that's in their head.
You got to think about this. You just said women are working like men and in CEO positions like men now, having the same stress as men. So women's sexuality is just as free as men now. But they're still thinking that they're operating as women. I think that's where the confusion comes in. You're not, your DNA makeup is not built to have sex without some type of emotional connection. Actually, if you romance your woman throughout the day, you know, they get touchy and, you know, the moisture and all that stuff like that. All that stuff comes out, which builds up to the sexual act. Whereas men, we see and can go at it immediately. So a lot of times I think women are having these man type thought processes when it comes to sex, but not realizing that they're still feminine.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
Okay. Because I just feel like, I guess this is where the situationships come in, where people feel like they're connecting more at sex, like they're in relationships and they're having intimacy or having sex. Let me not use intimacy because now we have correlated that is different than the act. They're having sex with passion or connection, but it's not a reflection of the relationship. Like how are we doing? How is society doing this nowadays? Like, you know, we're making passionate love and we're deep in each other, we're emotions, we're vulnerable, but then once the act is done, it's like, okay, well, I'll see you the next time that this passion or action happens.
Well, it's weird because society seems to be advocating for the shift of women to be more like men with their sexual freedom, while shifting men to be more like women with their sexual freedom. So there's a natural confusion in the entanglement of sex between men and women. Because men are still trying to think like men, but women are trying to function like men. And that's where I think a lot of the disconnect comes. Because it's kind of weird to say you want a marriage and you want a husband and you want this and that, while still out there having sex like you're a man. The
Mm-hmm.
two don't add up. They normally don't equate,
Mm-hmm.
because there's a thing, I guess you can call like soul ties if you read about it.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
more people you have sex with, sex is energetic.
Mm-hmm.
It's to connect with your partner. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
having sex and connecting with a bunch of shitty spirits, a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
shitty energy. And if you think about it, the apparatus on a man, the apparatus on a woman,
Yeah.
man goes in, so he could be pushing bullshit into your system. And if you're a
Mm-hmm.
man having sex with a woman that has bullshit in their system, you could be pulling out into yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you gotta assess who you're having sex with and stop lying to yourself that you can have sex without emotions, or you can have sex without emotions and still find a husband in your pursuit.
So do you think I know they say men can have sex with a lot of women and not have emotion. Do you agree with that?
I don't agree.
Okay. So
I feel, and I hate to say, like, from my sexual past before,
mm-hmm.
when I was single, the more that I had sex with somebody I didn't like, there was no connection.
Mm-hmm.
So I can actually last longer. I can actually talk a whole bunch of shit. But the minute that I felt connected to that person, it was different.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't last long because everything felt heightened. It felt on a different level. So that's how I equate my experience. I can't talk for all men, but I think women in general that date somebody they don't like and be like, I've heard women say, the sex was terrible, this and that. But then over the years, when they actually started to like that person for who they are, the sex became amazing, because it's not about your feelings no more. It's about your spiritual connection or your energetic connection with that person, which makes it feel 10 times better.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So,
Sure go.
you ready for me? Okay.
I'm ready for y'all.
Does what they say about the character traits in women differ from ethnicity to ethnicity and region to region?
I agree. I do. I feel like the American culture for women is shitty. Like, I just feel like they expect women to be to be feminine. They expect women to, birth these kids and be the mother and the supportive wife and the supportive mother that's going to be take the kids to school and then have enough energy to make love to her husband at night, and also work a 9 to 5, go to school. It's just unrealistic things. It's like, I look at it like, a woman, we can do it all, but it's just too freaking hard to do it all, to balance it all. Like, I feel like, me as a woman now, there is no way that I could have been in the position that I was in and be a wife and have kids. I'm not built like that. I wouldn't have been able. I don't know how I know some women who were managers and they had 2 kids. They was in school and they looked tired. They just looked like they were just existing. They were robotic. And it's like, how are you living this life? And I just feel like American culture is robotic. I feel in other countries, they value women. They have a role. They may not have much say or political, more political vote or freedom, but they're valued as being women. They're valued for their beauty. They're valued for being a wife. They're valued for being, a mother. I don't feel like it's a value in American culture. It's just a job.
Well, America is a business. America is a country that is a corporation out of Delaware. And the capital mindset of money over everything kind of creates the identity in everybody that even comes to America. I watch a lot of videos online to try to learn more about mindset from different regions and how to communicate it better. And the one thing that I always find interesting is every other culture has certain beliefs and societal structures that can't be broken in those regions. And a lot of times those people come to America and still uphold their religion, their structures of the household, everything intact, but come here just for the finance.
Yep. They'll leave their whole family there. They'll come get the money. Then they bring their But the thing about it is, in American culture, if a man leaves to go to another country to make money, that wife probably not going to be home when he get back.
So that brings me to that. The reason I brought that question up was I wanted to ask you, since we agree that it differs from ethnicity to ethnicity and region to region, how do we as communities of color change the outcome in our dating perspectives when everybody else has their roots, morals, traditions that they abide by, while we sit here and try to recreate something that we see a society go through? Why don't we have any unity?
We don't have any unity because honestly, I feel like we don't have any culture. If we think about it, this is a melting pot. Like, and we're, like you said, we're built on capitalism. Like, even the Black culture in America, we weren't built here to love. We weren't built here to build families. We were built here to work. So it's like that's the mind frame that we have. Like, yes, now we, of course, we're free and we have rights and stuff like that. But if we have no foundation, my grandmother don't have that foundation. When do we start? Where do we build? And this is, as a community, this is where we need the foundation. We need healing. We need therapy. We need just to get together, like, and figure this shit out. Like, I don't know. But I'm not saying that we kind of are repressed. Like, people, like, I know we're supposed to be, strong, and, slavery has been over, and, oppression has been over, but it's like, yeah, we have, but what was given to us to restructure? We never got no restructure. When there's a depression, there's an inflation. What happened to the inflation? The emotional inflation. Not even the reparations. Of course, we need reparations to build us economically back up, but what have we gotten to mentally build us back up? We haven't took that class yet. They ain't teach us that in college. There's no seminar for that. So I just feel like we need to find that. Like, I don't know if all the therapists got to get together, or everybody pick a brother and a sister from a community and we all get together and talk. I don't know what we need to do with the foundation of it, but we need to build a foundation. We need to build a structure, because we ain't never had it.
I will agree. And I will say, slavery is still not over. Civil unrest is still not over. We're still not even seen in this Constitution as human beings in the country. But I brought this up to point out, how do we create our own identities in relationships, in the Black family structure, when we constantly looking outward to a societal standard that we didn't write?
It's
like I'll give you an example.
Yeah,
I'll give you an example.
okay.
For your answer, the house with the picket fence, the child, and the dog. Whose narrative is that?
That's the quote unquote American dream.
I know, but is that the Black American dream?
No.
What is the Black American dream?
We ain't got one. Jordans.
So what do you think we should start? How do we create this? If we had to educate the listeners today, how would you say we begin to create the Black family identity for love and foundation?
It starts with us. And I know this may be cliche and a little like corny, like, because we always look at sitcoms and stuff like that. One of the sitcoms that I really love is Blackish. I just started watching it too. I started watching it because it came on BET. And it's like, it's a dynamic of a multicultural family, Rainbow and Anthony Anderson, and the dynamic of their families and how they blend it. But it's like, it's really an example of how they're making their own history within their family because of their dynamic. Like, she came from a different culture, he came from a different type of Black culture, and they blended it together. I think it all starts with us. Like, we have to say what our dream is. And then once that flusters into us, it's going to fluster into their kids, into that. Like, I look at it on my mother's side, none of us have kids yet. My sisters don't have kids. My brother doesn't have kids. I don't have kids yet. So what are we leaving now as a legacy? Now that we have the time to build on, because we don't have a family, we don't have kids, we got to build on ourselves. What are we doing to make ourselves better? So, I try to reach out to my brother and I try to educate him on emotion, on wealth, on legacy. Like, what are we leaving our family? Not just financially. What are we doing differently? Like, what generational curses are we breaking? We are breaking addiction, because nobody in the bloodline is addicted to anything. We're not addicted to any substance abuse. We have learned through, therapy, and we have learned through seeing what our family has gone through that generational curse of addiction, substance abuse, that none of us have that, because we have talked it out. We have talked, usually the Black community, when you always got that drunk uncle or something like that. But why is the uncle drunk? Why he going to the alcohol? Why he going to, to smoke weed? What is it in his mind that he can't live everyday life? So we having those conversations. Like, what is making you depressed? Why do you feel like you're stuck? What could we do to get you out of this, that you don't have to smoke? Ain't nothing wrong with smoking a little weed and having a little drink. Ain't nothing wrong. But if you feel like you need that to survive or to cope from everyday life, what are we doing to suppress that, to make you a better person? And I feel like having those conversations of, we come from a generation where you don't tell your business, and you don't find out things to somebody past or whatever the case may be. But if you don't know what your family tree is like, or the dynamics of, depression or substance abuse or different dynamics like that, how can we heal? And I feel like you got to do the work. We got to have those uncomfortable conversations. And I think that's how it starts. So I feel like it starts with us breaking those negative connotations of not keeping family secrets and not talking, or just like, oh, well, that's just the crazy cousin or the crazy aunt. What made them crazy? Like, why they that way? Like, did we have a conversation to them? Like, what's bothering them? Why are we just labeling them crazy? Like, what are we doing to break it? What are we doing to fix it? Or not just leaving it as it is. That's how I feel. It starts with us.
Gotcha. That's a good answer. It definitely starts with us. And I definitely don't know how to create the structure for the entire, Black community. But I would say the one thing that I try to do is stop focusing on everybody and start just focusing on us.
Yeah.
How do we win at this game? How do we win this race? How do we get ahead? And then hopefully we can set up something for the legacy of the children, who can set up a legacy for their children, set up the legacy for their children. But I think too often we're looking at societal structures, we're looking at Instagram, we're looking at social media to try to find out an identity versus creating our own.
Yep. I agree. I do totally agree with that. I feel like we're looking for outside validation for internal things. And I feel even seeing, you and Stephanie together, that like really, I really admire you guys relationship, because it makes me feel like, okay, you guys got together around in your 30s. And I'm like, okay, you can find love again. You can learn from your mistakes. You can blend families. It's possible. Like, it doesn't have to be the drama. It doesn't have to be infidelity. Like, you guys both, you divorced and then you met Stephanie and then you guys blended your family. Like, it can be a healthy dynamic. And when you see those things, you're like, okay, it's possible. So if I see my friend doing this, then it's possible for me to do this. And if I see my cousin doing this, it's okay to do this. And maybe if I see my best friend doing the same cycle, I could like, friend, don't do that, because I learned from this friend that this is the way to do it. So I just feel like if we all kind of focus in our own little circles and we look out, and it's also the company you keep, of course, as well. And you're not, like you said, looking at the social media and things like that. But if we kind of just look in our own like family, like how they said, it takes a village to raise a kid. Like, we got to really focus on the village. We be focusing on celebrities and focus on people in Canada and different things like that. If we're not focusing what's going on in I don't know what's going on with my neighbor. How can I be worried about what's going on in in the UK, or and it's not, it's okay to know those things, but if I don't know what's going on with my neighbor, then what am I doing right for my community if I'm not helping my neighbor?
Yeah. I appreciate it. You got another question? You want to keep going?
What about you? How you feel? Feel we talking too much?
No. You know me. I enjoy the conversation. We going at some point we're gonna transition to our relationship role play. So
Okay.
you want to do one more question each?
Okay, we'll do one more question each. Let's see. I really like that topic. That was a good one. I could talk about that all day. I feel people don't know how to express. How can I say this to you? See, I see a lot of relationships and dynamics happen when people are not happy. How do we work through that as a man and a female? I guess from a male point of view. Like, for instance, you're in a relationship and you see that your wife is struggling or she's not happy. How do you tell that person to take care of themselves and be there for them, but have them put themselves first? I guess I don't know if I phrased that right.
You're trying to get me in trouble here. All right, so
I said outside scenario.
So I can use a little bit of personal and outside. So if you are in a relationship with somebody, you should, especially if you're married, you should know what cheers that person up by now. There's been enough time invested to know what makes your partner happy or what makes your partner smile, or what brings your partner's spirit up. So I know if Steph is having a bad day, I can sense it. I'll talk to her first to see where her head is at, to try to figure out what she's experiencing. I never go in thinking I know, but I will ask her, like, so what's going on? Now, depending on the severity, depends on how I'll try to assist. If she's telling me she's having a bad day at work, I know if I order some seafood, she'll be happy. I know that for sure. Like, she loves seafood, so anything seafood related will bring up. But like, if it's deeper than that, then let's have a conversation. How can I assist? How can I help you? So I'm a good communicator, and I communicate often. If is this your first time listening to this show and you've never heard me speak before, I am an advocate of weekly reports. And the reason why I like weekly reports is because when I was in school, I got the report on Friday. My parent will find out how bad I'm doing, so I know I got to do better next week. So every week, I lay down with Steph. Hey, how do you feel I've communicated with you? How do you think I helped you along your way? How do you think I've supported you? And is there anything I can do different? And we'll share how we feel we've been treating each other, so that way it doesn't linger and start to fester and become a resentment. Because I feel like if you don't communicate well or you don't communicate often, then there's like this in houses they call it like fungus in the walls. If you don't see to it, then eventually the entire structure will go. So I'm an advocate of weekly reports. Checking. The word is checking with your partner. Make sure you check in. Do a report check. Make sure everything's good. It's almost like running a diagnostic on your car. You love your car, run a diagnostic on it real quick. Make sure everything's up to par. Every 3 months, you got to get that oil change. Run a diagnostic in your relationship. Make sure everything's up to par.
So the second part of this question. So I love I love the Red Table Talk. I've been watching it more often than lately. Lately I've been watching a lot. Not because of the entanglement that they had, but just to have those real conversations with people. Like the first 2 seasons I really didn't watch. Like I started watching it, when the entanglements and every other, popular people were coming on. But the first season, she really focused on happiness and loss. And one thing I remember when she had her first conversation with Will at the table, she was like, I was so unhappy. And she's like, my husband's job is not to make me happy. It's for me to find my own happiness. How do men allow women to find their own happiness without feeling like it's their responsibility to make them happy?
Well,
how do you balance that out?
I think that's the thing that kills most relationships is people thinking that there's going to be this one person that comes and makes you complete.
Yep.
Nobody can fulfill you. Nobody can make you complete. Nobody can make you happy. You are your own happiness. And even when people that are not happy with themselves date. I always ask them when they say, you know, I can't find a good person, all men ain't. I say, well, if you're not happy with you don't think a person that's around you senses you're not happy with you?
Exactly. And you're not
So,
even your true person. You're not your real person.
but your energy is not
Yeah.
saying I should marry you.
Mm-hmm.
Your energy is saying negativity, is saying defeated. So why would I go into this energy and invest time other than sex? Because men will always take the sex. Why would I invest anything other than just to see how this test drive is?
Mm-hmm.
You have to have more value of yourself and more input in yourself. And that takes work, takes therapy, it takes time. But if you are broken in your own assessment of yourself, you should not be dating, because you'll mess around and ruin somebody else that's perfect for the situation. Almost like that stupid show you had me watching the other day. I swear I hate
Married
that show.
at First Sight.
Yes, I hate that show. And that dude, he's a trip. He's a trip.
And the story continues.
And I can't believe that she actually comes every episode and pretends to want to try. Because in my mind,
she wants a divorce now, so
she should have wanted one the day of.
Exactly.
But listen, but that also speaks to her mentality of, I can't find somebody, so I'm using this show.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be experts to partner with somebody who they couldn't vet out was horrible.
I kind of thought about being on that show. I ain't gonna lie.
I would only go on the show for entertainment. I wouldn't go on the show really trying to find a spouse. That's just me.
I think 50% of the people go on there trying to find love. I think 50%.
Okay, let me just ask you from a common sense aspect. How can somebody else find you happiness?
It's like what is it? The dating people, the dating experts, whatever. Like, you go to a dating person, it's just an extra step. It's like, you're not dating, you married to date, or not dating to marry. You're married to date to stay married, I guess.
That's similar to going to a dating website trying to find you happiness.
It's a little seriously. So you don't believe in dating apps?
Any work that you don't put in yourself is not serious. That's how I feel.
But I feel like what they're doing is people are having a hard time finding compatibility. So the experts find the most compatible, and say, okay, try to make it work.
What is it about you that's having difficulty finding the compatibility? No expert's gonna find that. Something in you. Either you're having the wrong bait, or you're fishing in the wrong pond, or you have the wrong expectation. But it's something in you that has to be able to do this, that you can't rely on the expert to do. Because the first thing that everybody's going to say when they go through this thing, which I saw in the episode, was blaming everybody else.
They blaming the experts. Yeah, we all blaming the experts.
In my mind, I'm just like, this is my first time watching this, and I'm not learning from it. The experts are not teaching me, and I watch and listen to stuff to better my thought process. And in watching the show, I'm just like, they're not the experts are not involved enough for this.
I think it's because of COVID, because they were actually more involved in the prior seasons that I watched. I don't know, maybe if there's some.
How many Zoom meetings you've been on?
I have been. I have been. You're right. I just feel like this season, the last 2 seasons, the experts ain't really, I don't know if it's production. I'm not trying to, but I feel like the experts were more in tune.
I think the ratings. Seasons. I think the ratings have gone up with chaos because people like chaos. So they took a dating show and turned it into a dating show of ratchet TV, but
this has gone left. I would say this season has gone left. Last season was interesting because it was during when COVID, so everything was kind of different. But this season has gone ratchet. I would say this is some love and hip hop type stuff this season.
But yeah, let's transition. I don't want to give nobody else no free publicity, but yeah.
Well, it's the talk of the town right now. You know, the girls every week be like, Chris, I can't take him.
And those are the same guys they date.
That very true. Very true. I ain't gonna lie.
Oh, sorry. Did I step on your question? Did I answer your question?
You did. You answered my question. Okay. You did. Thank you.
All right. So my last question is going to be, in your length of existence on planet Earth, everything that you've seen from start to finish, who possesses more wifely traits? Your generation, your mother's generation, or your grandmother's generation?
My generation, my mother's generation, or my grandmother's generation?
Hmm.
Hmm.
Most people have their grandparents, hopefully. Most people have their parents, hopefully. A lot of people don't have their greats, so I'm not going to go that far. But which generation you think possesses the most wifely traits or aspects?
This is sad to say.
Hmm.
I can't say my grandmother because the experience, like my grandmother wasn't married, like my grandma was single. So I can't even say like I can't I don't have a reference when it comes to my grandmother's generation. I could based upon what I've seen on TV. Um I can't base it, and I'm just being, you said on with my experience, so I can't really base it on my experience from my grandmother. I would have to say my mother. I felt like that generation, especially the things that my mother endured in her. My mom was married twice. My mom was married the first time to her high school sweetheart when she had my sisters when she was 19, and then she got married again when she met my father at 28. So I feel like my mom, because when she got pregnant, she got married. That was just tradition. You got pregnant, you got married, you figured it out. And I felt like seeing the dynamic of my mother and how she just wanted to make her marriages work, even though they were with the wrong people. That was just the tradition. Like you just wanted to have that structure. The father, the mother making it work and stuff like that. So I would have to say my mother's generation.
Okay,
This
so is it,
generation, I don't know. Like, it's ghetto out there. It's really
is
ghetto.
is it safe to say that your mother's generation is, you would say, 50s, 60s, 50s and 60s?
My mom will be 60, 63 this year.
I
Yeah.
mean, I have to put a business out there. I was just trying
I
to
mean,
give a
she look
range for the
good though.
people.
She look good though. It don't matter.
Okay, so now that we got the range, why do you think it is different for your generation versus your mother's generation? And why do you think your generation is so gun ho to still be married if they don't possess those traits that your mother has?
Because I feel like marriage is not the same thing anymore. Marriage back in the day had more value to the woman because women were not breadwinners. So if a woman was married, it was a sense of security or a stability. Nowadays, you don't need to be married to be stable. You don't even need to be. Somebody told me the other day was like, because I say they'd be like, oh, you don't want kids, and I'm like, I would like to be married first. It's like you don't need a husband to have a kid. Like you don't even need a man to have a kid now. And I'm just like, what? I mean, I know
Well,
I don't. I could
yeah.
go out there, but it's like that's not my mentality. Like I don't want to raise no. I don't want to be no single mother. Like, and there's nothing wrong with being a if you are a single mother. That I don't think you wanted to be a single mother by choice. Who
Mhm.
wants to be a single mother by choice? Not me, because I'm old school. I'm traditional. I would like to have. I just feel a dynamic of a husband and a wife with a kid is a different dynamic. I feel like you need a balance. It shouldn't just be. I feel when it's just one person and I'm not. I'm a part of a single household, and I feel like I'm a pretty good person, but I do feel like there's some balances and there's some things that could have been better with me growing up if I did have my father more in my life and we had my mother and my father had a better marriage and a relationship. So yes, I do feel like that dynamic of a healthy husband and wife, mother and father is important in raising a child. So I feel like we in today's society don't value that we feel like, oh, I could do it on my own, but you can't. I really don't feel like it's right. Like if you have to do it on your own and you do your best, I'm not saying that a child is better because they came from a two parent household compared to a single one, but I do feel like it gives the child a better advantage. I'm not I That's my personal opinion. I could be wrong, but that's my personal opinion.
So you said two things that stood out to me.
Mhm.
One, when the girl said that, the first thing came to my mind was Chris Rock stand up when he was like, "You can drive the car with your foot. That don't make it a good idea."
Yeah, exactly.
So that
And
was
I
the
looked at
first
her like she
thing.
was crazy. She looked at me like, what? She looking at me like crazy. I'm like, by myself. Like,
So And the second thing that you brought up, which interesting, is as we try to go through life and get to the best aspects of it before our time is up here,
Mm-hmm.
who the hell would want to fight a fight themselves?
Exactly.
So you can do it, but the more support, the more team, the more whatever you want to call it, it makes the fight a little more easier. But if
Who
you're
wants to
trying to
do it
fight everybody
alone?
alone, it's crazy to me. So with that being said, and that mentality that you just expressed, why do these type of generational women that feel like they can do it on their own and they don't need no man, why are they so gun-ho to still find a marriage if they're not committed to the full if they're not committed to the whole aspect of a marriage, if they still
I
believe they can do it on their own, why do they want it so bad?
I think they fighting themselves.
Hmm.
It's contentment. Like, okay, this is not the best job I want, but I know I got it, and it's a pretty good salary, so I'm just gonna keep it.
Hmm.
I know I can take care of this kid. I want a kid, so I might as well just have it.
Hmm.
That's the mentality I feel.
You know what's ironic? I throughout the day I try to come up with, I write down a bunch of topics, a bunch of questions just to
Mm-hmm.
keep my mind going. And the one thing that I was thinking of, how contentment in your everyday life
Contentment. Yeah.
creates the imbalance in your relationship.
Mm-hmm. It's so true.
We all are content with going to school without understanding why we're going to school. We're
Mm-hmm.
all getting degrees while not working the jobs that came
Want the
from the
degree.
degree. And then
Mm-hmm.
we're all comfortable sitting there until retirement, but then demanding our relationship that everything works.
It's because we're putting too much. We're putting too much in our partners and not enough in ourselves. We
Mm,
feel like a partner is supposed to make everything complete, and it's like, no. I feel like you should have your. That's why I don't ever want to rush when I have a kid. I don't want them to like be married until they're like late 20s to 30s, because I think that's when you really get to know yourself as a person. And there could be people who childhood sweethearts and they grow and develop together. That's beautiful. But what I'm saying is, as a person, I just feel like you just don't know who you are, like, until you hit these ages. And it's like you content, because society's like, okay, you're supposed to have a 9 to 5. You should be happy that you do have this good job, or this good union job, or this good manager job. And this is the American way. You 9 to 5, go home, wake up, do this again. And then the weekend is, thank God it's Friday, and brunch Sundays and all this like that. And then you go back to your boring ass life Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. That's not life. And then you
mhm,
expect to have this dynamic relationship that's supposed to save you from everything. And it's like, no, it's it's all a balance. Like, you want a good job. You want to, well, we aim to have a great job, but realistically, everybody's not going to have a great job.
mhm,
You want a good fair earning where you feel like you're appreciated at work, you have good benefits, you're able to take care of yourself, you're able to have that balance. So, okay, you have that balance with the work, you have that balance with the life, you have that balance with your partner. I just feel like it all should tie in. Like, one cannot be greater than the other. It all has to complement each other. And I feel like we don't have that balance in the
mhm.
American society.
Definitely don't. One thing I think America benefits off is keeping people believing that something is valuable. It goes back to the
Hmm.
gold thing you said earlier. It was like, why a person valuing the gold? But if
Hmm.
everybody deemed that gold wasn't valuable, if everybody said the American dollar wasn't worth it, if everybody said the working a 9 to 5 wasn't worth it, if everybody said religion wasn't worth it, the government itself, America, would
Hmm.
have to find something else for you to believe in.
Exactly.
And as long as you believe in something that we can create, we can keep you fixated here while we do this here. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's very interesting. So that was a great discussion
It
and questions and all of
was.
that.
I think
So
we did good for our first episode.
we're not done yet.
I know. I
We
mean,
gotta
but
get
I talking.
yeah, we gotta get this so if everybody's listening, this next segment is called the relationship roundtable. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna act out a role between a man and a woman in a dating scenario. So let's see. Let me see if this the app just closed on me. So let me
Okay.
give everybody the background to what this is. So we have 4 personalities. Type A, accountable, communicator, gives great advice, has great resolution skills. Type B, always says but, however, justifies, use justification, always makes excuses, but claims their role in the situation. Type C, lies about everything. Type D, blames everybody, deflects and is a poor communicator. Scenario that we're going to act out today is 2 people enter a lounge. They go back to the girl's place. They almost have sex, but it doesn't go down. Later on, 2 weeks goes by. The guy decides to call her and go. So, because the app closed on me, I don't know. Oh, there it goes. Okay, let's see. This is yours.
So you calling me or I'm calling
No,
you?
no. I'm spinning the wheel.
Okay. Oh, the personality. Okay.
So you are type B.
Okay.
You will be, but however, justify excuses, but you'll claim your role in it. And my go. Let me see what it pops up.
Okay.
I got C. I'm a lie about everything.
This should be interesting.
You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Gotta pick
Hey.
up.
Hey.
Hey, what's up? How's everything?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing all right. I haven't heard from you in a while. It's been a while since the last time we saw each other.
Yeah, I've been busy. Work's been, kicking my ass. How you been?
I'm doing good. Just trying to figure out when the next time we could get up. Last time I was over there, got a little interesting, but trying to see how we can get back to that situation.
Well, I mean, I guess you didn't miss me that much. You waited 2 weeks to call me.
It's been 2 weeks. I didn't even know it was 2 weeks. I thought it was like the other day. Yeah, but
you just said it's been a minute, so I guess you're not counting the days down. I guess you don't want it that bad.
time is not something I really pay attention to. We're kindred spirits on this earth. We got enough time. So yeah. So why you didn't call me?
I told you not listening. I said I've been busy at work. It's been a bit crazy.
You
And I
work?
kind of, huh?
You work?
Yeah, I work. That's
What
why
you do?
That's why you left.
What you do?
I'm an accountant.
Oh, okay. So you like time and money and everything, right? Okay.
Mhm.
But I thought I called you the other day.
What time? Let me check my phone. What time
I
you
don't
call me?
know. The iPhones, they be funny. You got an iPhone or Android?
I got an iPhone.
Oh,
When
I
you
got an
text me,
Android, yo. So that's why the Android, yo. That's the thing. Because I would have FaceTimed
mm,
you, son. I would have definitely FaceTimed you.
you text me on what apps? What's app though? You could have video chatted me.
Yo, see what happened was I was on the train, so I didn't want to, all the crowd stuff in the
Okay.
background. But how can a brother get back over there?
Um. Well, to be honest, like I just felt like the vibe wasn't completely there. Like I felt like we had moments where it was and moments it wasn't. Just being honest.
I mean, the vibe was right. I met you. We was back at your place, and it was interesting. I'm trying to get back to the vibe.
Yeah, but you're inconsistent. Like I just felt like if you were into me, you would have called or checked up on me. You took a while to hit me back.
But I am interested. It's just that the phone had died. I just got it repaired. So
The phone been dead for 2 weeks.
yeah, because what happened was you ain't gonna believe this.
Mm.
Yeah, the guy just took a while to get it done. So that's how once it got fixed, you're the first person I hit up. I ain't called my mom's or nothing. It was like I had to call Shorty to get back over there.
But I saw you post on Instagram.
Oh, because I was using the computer at work.
Oh, but you
I
didn't
just
DM. Why? You could have DM'd me. We friends.
I felt like if I DM'd you, it'd be like a scumbag move. Like why he got to DM me and not call me? So I just waited till the phone got fixed.
Mm. Yeah, that's kind of not the way I want to communicate or deal with somebody on that type of level. I want to feel like I could be able to speak with you when possible. I just feel too much time has passed by.
So are you trying to cut it off, or
What I'm trying to say is that what could we do to make it better? You're not taking accountable that I just feel you're making a lot of excuses and you're not really.
I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm just saying I just got the Apple repaired now, and Apple
Apple, I,
Care.
I thought you said you had an Android.
I mean, Android. What's the Android repair stuff like the insurance? I got it now, so if my phone break again, yeah, I can
Um,
get at you directly. But
um,
yeah. So when the next time we can see each other?
I'm not too sure. I got to check my calendar.
Word. I feel some type of way, like
It, it's
you.
tax. It's tax season, so we're busy as accountants.
Oh, word. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
forgot.
You didn't do your taxes yet?
Um, I work off the books.
Oh, we didn't
You
discuss
know,
that. What do you do off the books?
a little here and there. I'm
Here
like
and there.
I'm a freelancer. Like I do parties. I do construction. I do maintenance. Yeah, I don't
Mm.
like being tied down to one job. It's like I like to be able to do what I want when I want.
You don't seem like you want to be tied down to anything.
No, I just want to be tied down to you. That's why I'm calling you.
No, I don't think that's what it is. Cause I saw you, I don't know if we like in the same, playtime group and stuff like that. And so I saw you talking to somebody else and I was like, oh, I guess he, done moved on like Maya. It
I
was,
don't talk to nobody in that it's playtime. We playing. Hey, we play. It's playtime. We just play.
yeah, I feel you playing games.
I could keep going. Oh, that shit was funny. I could keep going.
I
Yo,
finished you. Finish
we got
him.
we got we got to put some next time. We got to put some rules. So we either got to have a time length or
I
like the
know, right?
first
Because
person to
I can
laugh.
keep going. I can keep
I
going.
was trying to keep going, but I was just like, I want to laugh so bad. This is crazy.
I can keep going. I'll be like, oh,
uh,
I was like, you just keep bringing yourself in with the lies. I'm like, then you said you said Android, Apple, and then I'm starting to get like triggered from past liars. I'm
oh,
like,
y'all hear that, people? She getting triggered off of a relationship role play. Interesting.
I
That
start
means
taking notes because I
that
know
means she still got work to do.
when I hear a lie, I start taking notes. You gotta be like, okay, he said Android, like trying to catch you in your lie.
Oh man, so that was fun, and we look forward to doing more
That
role
was
playing
fun.
stuff like that. The last thing we're gonna do on the outro is this segment is called DNA Decoded. Throw it to my co-host to give a summary of her synopsis of the episode. What is your summation? How do you feel? Anything you want to wrap up to the guests before we close out?
I just want to say that my perspective on men has opened up a lot, e- especially when it comes to being emotional and vulnerability and what I expect, um, and how hard it is for a man to really communicate. And we put a lot of judgment on men and wanting them to be vulnerable and emotional to us, but the dynamic of how they're raised in society is kind of really hard for them. So I kind of see it from a different view now. I guess I'm stepping outside of me being a female and just being a human and having that empathy and having that patience to understand that. And to wrap it up, I just feel like we all need time to just figure each other out. I don't know. We just all need to come together. We just need to have a community. We need to have a community board. You know how back in the days we used to have community meetings? We need to have a community meeting.
They still do. We just ain't attending.
We ain't attending. Well, I need to attend one. Well, I'm outside is okay. Um, and try to be more active and changing perspectives and not just in my dynamic in my family, but really the community. Like let's start getting more community based because that's the only way we're gonna fix things is to get out there. Stop focusing so much on social media and the internet world and really put my feet in the pavement and make a change, make a difference, because I feel like we have voice, and I hope that this podcast people are able to listen and deflect and share these situations and share these outlooks with people, and we can make a change. and communicate.
That was great. How am I going to sum this up? So the topic was, how should we teach each other about, what should we teach each other about men and women? And I think overall, we need to learn to give each other grace and patience.
Yes.
Give each other the same grace and patience that you will want given to yourself. You can't expect to have a short tolerance with everybody while expecting everybody to have a long tolerance with yourself. And I want to piggyback off of the great Michael Jackson song, I'm looking at the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. No matter the man and the clever. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make a change. It all starts with you. You have to be the change that you want to see. You have to do the work to get a different reality. And you got to make sure that you don't make the mistake of repeating the past hurts that you have or childhood experiences that you've seen into your current situation.
Let the church say amen. Hallelujah.
Church say amen. So that was a good first episode. I hope the audio was clear. We will try to chop this up and have it online soon. Give them your social media handles, where they can find you, where they can reach you.
Yes, you can reach me on Instagram at BeingD Renee.
So we got a few platforms that we up on. So Twitter, I'm at Mr. Anthony Smalls, ANTHONYSMALLS. And we also have the RDNA podcast because they only have 15 characters. So I had to shorten it. They couldn't have the relationship DNA up there. And somebody had already had relationship DNA. So that's where we at. Snapchat, I created Mr. Anthony Smalls, although I do not snap at all. I will.
You ain't got no filters.
I got to start putting up some content after we do this. And on IG, I still got Mr. Anthony Smalls. I also have Relationship DNA podcast. But also be on the lookout for the website. We're currently developing that. And we're going to start chopping this stuff up and start putting up on social media and on YouTube. So thank y'all all for coming now. God bless you. Good night.
God bless. Good night.
All right, later.